On the dusty roads of ancient Rome, one of history's greatest leadership lessons began not in grand palaces, but on a humble farm. Waking with the first light of the 5th century BC, these lands were shaped by the hands of a legend, Lucius Quinctius Cincinnatus. Though he once held Rome's highest offices, he was now merely a simple peasant tilling his soil. As beads of sweat from physical labor trickled down his forehead, the dignified expression in his eyes reflected his unshakable discipline. For him, true wealth was not gold coins, but the cycle of seasons and the quiet peace of a bountiful harvest. Yet this peace was about to be shattered by dark clouds gathering on the horizon. Rome was pregnant with one of its darkest days. Panic reigned in the Roman Forum. Senators, shaken by news of approaching disaster, searched desperately for a way out. The Aequi and Sabine tribes had surrounded the Roman army and reached the city gates. The Republic's existence hung by a thread. The decision was made. Rome needed a single savior, a dictator endowed with absolute authority. The only name that came to mind was Cincinnatus. A delegation hurriedly left the city walls and set out towards Cincinnatus's dusty farm. Working in his field, Cincinnatus noticed the approaching riders. Wiping the sweat from his brow, he tried to understand why the strangers had come. Those arriving were Rome's most respected figures. Yet, the man they found before them was just a peasant covered in earth. The senators bowed before him, offering the purple dictatorial toga and the ivory staff. Rome's fate was now in his hands. Cincinnatus paused for a moment. He had to leave behind his field, his plow, and his peaceful life. Love for his country triumphed over personal desire. He thrust his plow into the earth, donned his dusty toga, and began walking toward Rome. He was no longer a peasant, but a commander. As he entered the streets of Rome, the people greeted him with an admiration mixed with hope and fear. Time was running out. Cincinnatus set to work immediately. He assembled his army by gathering all able-bodied men at the Campus Martius. As night fell, the Roman legions advanced silently toward the enemy camp in the flickering light of torches. A strategic genius, Cincinnatus surrounded the enemy in their own trap when they least expected it. Short and clear orders given on the battlefield led the disciplined Roman soldiers to absolute victory. The enemy surrendered. In just 15 days, Rome was saved and the threat neutralized. Cincinnatus was now the absolute master of the city. The people were ready to proclaim him king and grant him lifelong power. But Cincinnatus had something else in mind. On the 16th day of his dictatorship, he returned his staff to the Senate. He relinquished absolute power with an ease no one could imagine. He took off his ornate toga, put on his old dirty tunic again, and left the city without looking back. When he reached his farm at sunset, the plow he had left behind was still there. He returned to his land. Cincinnatus taught us that true power lies not in possessing it, but in the virtue of being able to relinquish it when necessary. His legacy will remain for centuries as the purest embodiment of selfless leadership and patriotism. True power is the ability to walk away from it.